what are your impressions of America right now?
So this kind of like consumerist way, I didn't really like it, to be honest. Like I didn't see humbleness in it.
My impression is that the country is pretty divided.
Maybe like very polarized country.
You're pulling in so many different directions. Each one of them is getting more and more radical, it seems like.
What you sold us in movies and on other media is not what real America is, what real US is.
I think the news are just so negative that it's easy to forget that it's also, in many ways, it seems to me, a great country.
What do European people think of Americans? Keep watching this video to find out.
Gotten kind of like a superiority complex towards Americans. Like, I think a lot of Europeans are like, there's just so much stuff and so many people in America who just seem so like out of it. Like, it's just so many weird ways of thinking that. But I think I don't think it's true that Europeans aren't that way. It just seems that there are more Americans who just can make themselves believe anything. And I think also like the politics in America, a lot of Europeans, especially Norwegians, we have kind of like a belief system which in many ways clashes with the American belief system, like with healthcare and a lot of that like individuality and capitalist system. And like in Norway
abortion,
we're more
maybe?
kind of and abortion, the intense like freedom, everybody does their own thing. I will not be limited by like gun laws and whatever. Like in Norway we're kind of like more of a we have more of a socialist foundation, so I think it's easy for Norwegians to kind of look down on Americans and think that they're being like very stupid, but I don't think it's true that all Americans, obviously not all Americans are like that, and it seems like there's a lot of differences between the states, but I don't know, it's just it's a very different belief system, I think.
Funny story, I was just in America for 6 months this spring. I was an exchange student there in California. I've been to America a couple of times, and you know, it's always a great country to visit, but of course the media coverage isn't always, you know, projecting positive things. Like a lot of complications with the president or with the abortion laws, and I feel like the country, my impression is that the country is pretty divided, and just into two different parties. So you know, you hear a lot of things that you maybe don't think is the best way to solve some issues. But all in all, America has always been like the big brother of the North, Norway. So no, it's not all bad.
I've not been to America so much. I visited her in Easter. So most of the knowledge about America comes from the media, and as she said, it seems to be a bit divided into two parties. That's pretty much what I know.
I think people think it's very chaotic, very polarized. I think, but you know, it's now we're probably only going to mention the negatives, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's what you get in the news. So sure, America has problems, but so does
Norway.
So does everyone.
Yeah, we all do.
I think then the news are just so negative that it's easy to forget that it's also, it's in many ways it seems to me a great country. But I think people think about the things they see in the news, and the news just tend to focus on bad things. Unfortunately, most people see America in black and white, which is what we should try not to do, because then we're just we're just keeping it polarized in a sense.
Yeah.
We're reinforcing that that polarization. Yeah.
What's your impression of people in my country, or just my country in general right now?
I guess very friendly and extroverted and talkative. I guess this is maybe like very polarized country when it comes to like politics, that is very conservative and like capitalistic.
How I see America and Americans right now, it's a big contrast, and I would say the country of getting more and more difficult for me to express this, but express that. But it looks like it could be both very engaged, very scientific, and leader in many fields. And on the other side, it's also a country of coming with the most dumb ideas and very shallow approach to the life and so on. So. A lot of contrast, and thinking about politics, such a big country, and you cannot find a single person that could be a really decent president.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way in Poland. I mean, there's nearly 40 million of us, and we didn't have a good president either. So somehow this is a thing. I would say politically we consider right now it's more stable having Biden as a president. Of course, Trump was considered as somebody totally unpredictable. Not really the guy of politics, and we could see these days also some reports that probably not the most ethical person. And the way we see it also, that it's country probably good for young and wealthy people, healthy people and wealthy people.
Yeah.
Because in a way, what we hear, the cost of the healthcare, for instance, seems not to be the way that developed country should handle it. But on the other hand, we see it from the distance. We are not living there, so it's just an impression. We don't know how it is for real over there.
What would you say are your impressions of America right now? Of the people there, of the country?
I've never been, so I cannot really judge. Like, when I used to live abroad, I met a lot of Americans. To be honest, I didn't have the best experiences. But that's those people, right? So I had this, and also, I consume a lot of like American TV and a lot of movies, so I think, in the middle of Europe, we get a lot of your culture, in this kind of lens from the movies and the music, and so we actually know a lot without even being there, So, I mean, I find beauty in it, but like, I don't know, it's hard to say, like, so this kind of like consumerist way that you think, or at least what I witnessed with this couple of people I met during my journeys, I didn't really like it, to be honest. Like, I didn't see humbleness in it,
Yeah.
And so that wasn't the best experience, but obviously I met some, like, you are a really nice guy,
Thank you.
And I met an American actor who was really cool,
really?
like he was so sweet, and so kind and so respectable, like, so I mean, I don't really think you can generalize people, you have different experiences with different people. So.
Yeah, they're like, I think there's like types of people overall.
Yeah,
like there's a certain
sure.
culture, but then when you get down to individual level,
exactly.
People
So I don't want to
differ.
say like I'm not into it, because I don't know, and I'm sure if I would go there and experience it for myself, like for instance California, I'm sure it's beautiful. And, there are so many things to do and so many nice people to meet.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, and you have really great artists, so that you brought out into the world. So
it's a very creative.
Exactly.
I think you guys are kind of crazy.
Okay.
Like there's just, you're pulling in so many different directions, and each one of them is getting more and more radical. It seems like there's no more common ground, or at least it's shrinking.
Yes. And you think it's both sides? It's not just like one. It's not like one side or the other.
I mean, I'm all for like left-leaning stuff. Like it's fine, but you can take it to an extreme that like a semi-conservative person would not be okay with, and I don't think that's doing anyone any favors.
Yeah.
Like you can have reforms and still kind of keep with the culture or keep with like values that other people still feel important to them. So I don't. It's very different from any other place in the world. Like I don't. To me, it's just. I don't know. They're just going in too many different directions.
I'm just curious what your thoughts are on America and like the people of America at this state in time.
I think American people did it very well with Hollywood and all that stuff, but when you get a little bit into the US culture, you find that what you sold us in movies and on other media is not what real America is, what real US is. And it's true that while the time is going by, we are starting to understand that US is not the center of the world, and we don't have to strictly follow what US is saying and what US people are thinking. I know that also US is divided into ways, as you said before. And I don't know, I think the whole world is changing, and the globalization in English, it's also making people understand that you can get the best parts from all the countries. Of course, US has very good things to give to the world. But it's true also that the European people or the people from many other countries can also give a lot to the world, not only the US.